Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome to a new and fresh TCEC competition. Welcome to the new TCEC season 27 that you can follow now on the official and beautiful TCEC website. So again, in this new competition, we'll again see this, first of all, entrance leagues in which the lower rated chess engines have to qualify and then get into the B division, A division, and then into the Premier division, in which we'll see also again the super final, because the best two engines out of the Premier division will play in the super final of the TCEC season 27. The top favorites are again Stockfish and Leela, and of course we'll see epic, sharp, brutal tactical chess all over board for sure. And what's also cool, in any TCEC competition we have also additional different competitions, and one of the cool competitions I think is the so-called Kibitzer bonus opening competition, in which actually the engines don't play suggested openings by the organizer. Actually the engines have to play suggested openings by the viewers, and that's I think a very cool match that also happened now in the new TCEC season, in which LcZero and Stockfish played a 400 game match in which they, as I said, had to play pre-arranged openings, but these openings were suggested by the viewers. And this is really cool because probably many of us are bothered by some openings, and we want to see how the engines would maybe play these openings. And in this 400 game match, Stockfish won the competition with a clear result. I would say Stockfish gained 203 points and LcZero gained 197 points. So again, Stockfish was a winner of a new TCEC competition. And I've sorted out what was, in my opinion, my favorite game, because here Stockfish and LcZero will play the so-called Blumenfeld Countergambit, and I had my issues against this Blumenfeld Countergambit, how to play it with the white pieces, how to stop this pawn storm that's coming in the center of the board. Very tough position to play, I think, from white's perspective, but that's why I think this is a very cool competition, this Kibitzer bonus opening competition, in which we'll see now how Stockfish is handling the Blumenfeld Countergambit. And the Stockfish also will show us here beautiful theoretical novelty in this opening. So really epic gameplay by the most powerful chess engines in the world. So let's dive now into the game with the white pieces. The fish opened with move d4. Leela's response was knight to f6. We have c5 and c4 and c5 here by LcZero, and now after move d5, the last move that was prearranged by the viewers was now the move b5. From this point on, the engines are already calculating the position for themselves, so no additional moves they had to play. Now the engines are calculating this position. Although this is now the so-called Banco Gambit in the beginning, the game will actually transpose into the common position of the Blumenfeld Countergambit, because here after move c takes b5, Stockfish accepts now the challenge here, a6 by LcZero. Stockfish plays now the move e3, and now after move e6 and d takes e6 and f takes e6, knight to f3, we have reached now really the common position of the Blumenfeld Countergambit, because LcZero plays now the move d5. Leela gave up now a pawn in the center of the board, but here in order to get this pawn here on the square d5, and now from this point on Black is having this massive pawn storm. Obviously what Black is trying to do is play maybe in some lines e5, d4, e4, c4. So Black is trying really to make progress with these powerful pawns in the center of the board. So as I said, we have reached the Blumenfeld counter gambit position out of the Banco Gambit idea in the beginning. So let's see now how Stockfish is handling this pawn storm in the center here by LcZero. Stockfish continues with normal develop, bishop to e2, bishop to d6, knight to c3, and now for kingside castling also by the fish, bishop to b7 here by LcZero, and now Stockfish, believe me or not, plays already a beautiful theoretical novelty, a move that we haven't seen so far in chess history. And surprisingly, when you watch now this position in the database, no one won this position with the white pieces in FIDE master, international master level, candidate master level. So as I said, it's very hard still to play this position with the white pieces, although you're up a pawn, but you have some issues because of the potential e5, and then, as I said, with this pawn storm in the center of the board. So here, after bishop to b7, Stockfish plays now a beautiful idea immediately, plays now the novelty e4. is challenging immediately here this center, and there is a certain rule in chess that says when you face these pawn storms, when you face this connected pawns in the center of the board by your opponent, you should try to split the pawns or to stop them, to not allow them maybe to make progress. Because, for instance, one of the options here for black is to proceed with the move d4, but actually this move d4 simplifies now the game for white, because after move e5 you can maybe take out this one, we can take out this one, you can maybe pick up the pawn on b2, we play bishop to b2, you're trying to play bishop to d5, disconnect of course the queen from the defense of the pawn on d6. But now after something like knight to e5, queen to d6 and a4, white is much better. White has the bishop pair in an open battle and has now also the expansion here on the queen side. I would say here a much better position for white, although what we have to know notice is that c5, the pawn on c5 and also the pawn on e6 are long-term weaknesses, so this pawn will be attacked of course by white's activity, so not a good position I would say here for black. So that's why from move e4, Leela0 tried knight takes e4, Stockfish plays knight takes e4, d takes e4, and now knight to g5. Stockfish gave up now the pawn, but you see now the pawn storm is not there anymore. The pawns are disconnected, and this is not such a dangerous position anymore to handle here for white. e6 weak, e4 weak, also the pawn on c5 is weak, and you see now after move bishop to d5, Leela is trying to hold somehow this position in the center of the board, but now Stockfish plays a beautiful follow-up with f3. Great moves here by Stockfish. As I said, these positions have never been reached in chess history so far, so that's why I think very instructive approach already by Stockfish. After e takes f3, Stockfish doesn't even take out the pawn immediately, plays now this beautiful intermediate queen to d3. First of all, threatens the checkmate on h7, so that's why Leela is forced to somehow cover now this diagonal with rook to f5 and now bishop to f3. Let's see now options. It seems so here maybe that black could gain two minor pieces for the rook, but actually this is not working, because after bishop to g5, queen takes g5, white would simply continue the pressure here on the d file. Even if you take, look at this, d6 is weak, the bishop on d6 is weak, knight is undeveloped, has a tough time to get into the game, rook is very lonely here on a8. Again, the lack of development bothers me here for black. In one line that I analyzed at home, you could maybe try to spice up the game with queen to h4, but then g3, you're trying maybe bishop to g3, but then queen to e2 solves all of the tactical problems. You're trying something like this. Look at this. In some lines, you can get even checkmated here in the early stage of the game. Of course, white and black don't have to play the game like this, but I wanted to show you that this whole idea with rook to g5 in the first place is not working because of the tensions here on the d file. There is this problem on the back rank, so too many tactical issues I would say here for black. For bishop to f3, that's why queen to f6 by Leela0. Stockfish continues with knight to e4. We have queen to e5, and now knight takes d6. After queen takes d6, Stockfish plays now the most beautiful move of this game. Plays now queen takes f5. Sacrifices the queen just in order to pin the bishop further with rook to d1, and now this piece is lost. Stockfish gets, I think, enough compensation for the lost queen. The king is endangered here on light squares. As I said, the lack of development of the knight is still there. This bishop will get into the game. There is a certain problem here, 3 versus 1 maybe here on this side of the board. So too many issues, again, I would say here for black. Black has really a tough time now to defend this position. But okay, Leela battles with rook to a7, gets at least out of this mess on light squares. Stockfish continues with rook to d5, queen to b6, and now bishop to f4. Great move so far by the fish. Look at this. Stockfish continues the attacking flow, has the amazing bishop pair. This rook is coming into the game. Really nice harmony between white pieces. Knight to d7 by Leela. Stockfish continues with rook to d6, queen to b5, and now bishop to d5. King to f8, must move here for Leela0, because if you get it on h8, then you're always vulnerable to some backrank checkmates. That's the problem, so that's why you have to get closer now to the action. But you really didn't improve, I would say, here the position of the king, because in some lines the dark square bishop could be very dangerous. So now you see really the beauty of the bishop pair of Stockfish 16. So here Stockfish continues obviously with rook to e1, simply includes now a new attacker into the game. What should you do? There are two choices. You can maybe try queen takes b2 or queen to b4. Leela played queen to b4, but even if you try queen to b2, it seems so that this could be working maybe here for black, because you have created yourself here passer. But I wanted to show you, again, I'm pointing out, again, white and black don't have to play the game now in this analysis that I will show you now, but I wanted to show what's the actual problem in black's position. I analyzed just one line. I wanted to show you what's really the problem here for black. Actually, there are even some checkmate threats here against black's king, because in some lines, for instance, a checkmate pattern that could happen is maybe here something like rook to h6, and then after g takes h6, bishop to h6. Then both of these bishops would be very dangerous, and you cannot escape to the e file because the rook is active here. So I just wanted to really just show you one imaginary line that didn't happen in the game, but I want to show how dangerous this setup here is by white. For instance, king to f1, white improves the position of the king, and now after something like rook to e3, here again g3, we're fixing now the bishop. But now after something like h6 and you prepare maybe the move g5, white continues with h4, and now after something like this, h5, you're trying to do something like this, bishop to b3, you're trying to maybe escape here. As I said, this is the pattern that white is searching for, rook to h6, and then after g takes h6, bishop to h6, immediately game over. As I said, white and black don't have to play the game like this, but I wanted to be really sure why is this position so dangerous for black, because really of this beautiful bishop pair activity. So that's why after rook to e1, Leela didn't even go immediately for the pawn, took now attack now simply the bishop on f4, Stockfish simply retreat, and now Leela c0 took. Stockfish continues now with bishop to e6, also a different plan. Now there are even some ideas, rook to c6, rook to c8, again simply too much pressure here against black's king. Knight to f6, we have rook to d8. Leela has to again go with the king closer to the action, but actually you're getting in front of the rook. Rook to d1, and look at this bishop will come on d6. This bishop is already on e6. Both of these rooks are very dangerous on the d and e file. Two dangerous position again here for black. Here we have king to e8 by Leela c0. Stockfish continues with bishop to e5, queen to b4, and now bishop to d6. Simply trying, of course, to play a dangerous discovered attack. We have queen to b6, h3. Stockfish can allow himself here even a calm move, just improving the position of the king, not rushing here. All of the pieces are basically on the optimal squares, so Stockfish is just waiting for the optimal moment to play a dangerous tactical shot. Here we have c4. Leela relies, as I said, on this passer that Leela created, but now king to h2, queen to d8, and now rook to e5. Pardon me. After rook to e7, now that's the moment that Stockfish has been waiting for. We have bishop to d7, and now after knight to d7, Stockfish grabs now the rook. Leela grabs some material, but now in this tactical sequence, white is up the exchange and has now completely winning endgame. But okay, it's a tough endgame still to play. Black has some pawns as a compensation, and the knight against the rook, so still in human level I think many of us would mess this up with the white pieces, but Stockfish of course evaluates this position already as winning here for white. But okay, let's see now this endgame. King to g3, we have king to e6, king to f2, knight to b6, rook to b1, simply attacking the knight, and now knight to d5. But now of course Stockfish goes with the rook behind the pawns, is trying to control this one, is trying of course to grab a couple of this one, a couple of pawns on this side of the board. So again, a good position for white. We have now the move g5. Even if you go here with king to f6 closer to the action, then the rook will come here. In one moment you have to, I don't know, play knight to b4, we kick away the knight, then we play a4, and again you cannot attack this pawn, then this rook is getting behind, and I think this pawn is lost, or maybe we'll grab this pawn and then create ourselves here a passer on the a file. Okay, here for rook to b7, we have g5, we have rook takes h7. First of all, Stockfish now took a pawn, very important move. Now the material is not so equalish. Now Leela has only one extra pawn and the knight for rook, which is, I think, not enough compensation. In this endgame, we have king to e5. Stockfish goes for this pawn. Leela pushes the pawn, and of course, Stockfish gets the king closer. We have king to d1, knight to e3, king to a2, c2 by Leela c0, rook to c7, and now king to e4. Even if you try here, knight takes g2, even if you grab this pawn, actually this is not working, because after rook to c2 and you're trying maybe to go for this pawn, actually this is not working, because first of all the check is coming, you're trying to escape, and then you just push this pawn. Even if you lose maybe the pawn on h3, Stockfish would simply push the pawn here on this side of the board. This wasn't playing the game, but again I wanted to show you that again even this line is not working here for black. Knight to d5, then here you're trying to do something, you're trying to push the pawn, but now this pawn is immobile. There are also here some checkmate threats. You have to step back. We pick up this one, but the king is holding this position. Attack the knight, just push the pawn further, and it's, I think, game over here for black. So even after knight to g2, seems dangerous that maybe this could work here for black, but actually this is not a good position again here for Leela. After rook to c7, that's why king to e4. Stockfish goes again closer to the action with the king, a5, and now rook to c3, f4, and now again simply going for this weakness here on a5. Knight takes g2, again we have a similar position. Knight to e3, rook to c6, Leela is trying to push the pawn further. We have now rook to g6, and now knight to c4, king to e2, and now f3, but this is not dangerous. After a couple more moves, Stockfish is controlling again with this king. Both of these pawns is not allowing this pawn to be pushed here. We have f2, Stockfish of course grabs it, and now the position is collapsing here for black. Stockfish again goes with the rook behind, goes for this one. Leela has some checks of course, but nothing dramatic here. After king to d5, Stockfish delivers some checks, and here Stockfish sacrifice now the rook for the exchange, but with this extra distant pass pawn on this side of the board, obviously this is a completely winning endgame here for white. So great game, I would say, by white here against the Blumenfeld Countergambit. I really liked Stockfish's approach. I liked also this e4 novelty, which basically split the pawn chain, didn't allow basically black to play in this Blumenfeld Countergambit style, where you push the pawns, where you're trying, of course, to do something dangerous. Very instructive game, I would say, here by Stockfish 16. So okay, we'll follow of course this new TCEC season. We'll see also the Premier Division for sure, and then we'll also follow some beautiful games in Fish and Random Chess. Probably we'll see also some nice endgame motifs that are also part of new TCEC season. So we'll see many great things, of course, in the new TCEC competition. And okay, if you want to see some other beautiful AI chess games that we have analyzed before, check out our commented chess games played by computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.